Hey everyone, it's Ariel Waldman from Tested. 2018 was a fantastic year for me. Most importantly, I launched the series Offworld on Tested. Offworld, if you haven't seen it, is the newest show on Tested this year that's all about space exploration and pop culture. We get sci-fi authors on, we get scientists on, and we just geek out about space exploration and how it takes place in pop culture and how realistic or not it is. It was really, really great to join the Tested family this year, and I'm really excited to share with all of you some of my favorite things from this year. One of my most favorite things from 2018 was actually I went to Antarctica. I've only been back from Antarctica for a couple of weeks, so things are fresh in my brain, and I want to share with all of you some of my favorite things that really helped my trip. So I was in Antarctica exploring microbes and looking at all the life beneath the ice there. There's so much to explore, and Antarctica was definitely a fantastic, fantastic expedition. It was really, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, but there were a lot of tools that made it a lot easier. So one of my favorite tools from going to Antarctica is this. This is the Bully Optics portable field microscope, and what's awesome about it is its small size. So while I was hiking up glaciers and looking at frozen lakes and in all of these places where I couldn't really take a lot with me, I could always take this field microscope and look at all the microbes underneath the ice. The thing that's cool about it is that this is definitely the smallest microscope that I have found really great image quality with, because it is a proper microscope. There are a lot of phone attachments out there that give you even cheaper microscopes, but this one is the smallest, cheapest one that I've found that has the good quality that you want with a microscope. So what's really awesome about it is it's got objectives from 4x to 40x, and with the 10x eyepiece, it means that you can get up to 400 times magnification, which is really great. That's standard magnification for a lot of microscopes. And the other thing that's cool about it, if you are new to microscopy and new to microscopes, is that it's inverted. The reason why I recommend inverted microscopes to people is because inverted means that the objectives are facing up rather than down. And because the objectives are facing up, it means that you can actually do things like use a tiny little petri dish to put samples into it and look through the petri dish. That's really great because if you are like me, preparing slides is not fun. I still don't like preparing slides to this day. It's a lot of work and you can mess it up easily, but with a petri dish, you can just put a few drops of water into it and look through this microscope. The other cool thing about this is that it works off of battery. So this is an LED light here that you can use. So you don't even need to plug it in to get some illumination through the microscope. So related to that, my next favorite thing is the LabCam for iPhone. And the LabCam for iPhone is an attachment where you can actually put it into any brand name microscope eyepiece. Why this is important is because if you are someone where maybe you don't have your own microscope and you want to borrow someone else's, or you're going between different labs and needing to look at different microscopes and you want good image quality, but you don't necessarily have a great camera setup, the LabCam for iPhone is something where it comes with two different attachments, and these two different attachments actually fit most brand name microscopes. That is really, really useful because you can walk up to nearly any microscope with these two attachments with your phone and get really awesome photo and video quality. So related to all of that is actually a kit that I recently fell in love with. This is the 64-bit driver kit from iFixit, and this is really useful. So this is a kit of a bunch of different screwdriver heads and Allen wrenches and things like that. Why it is really useful for microscopes is if you work with microscopes, you have my sympathy, because they are both fun and not fun. They are not fun in the fact that nothing is standardized. Using microscopes is not necessarily the most fun endeavor because you always have to learn a new microscope and you always have to be cleaning them and fixing them. They're kind of finicky machines. And so this 64-bit driver kit, I think, was actually created so people could take apart their gadgets or fix their gadgets. Well, my gadgets, at least in Antarctica and for the foreseeable future, are microscopes. And so having this driver kit where I can actually go and take apart different microscopes that have different types of screws and different types of Allen wrenches that are required came in really useful in Antarctica because, well, there's not a whole lot down there. So if you don't bring something down there with you to Antarctica, you're kind of out of luck. So this was definitely a saver for me. This really made my life a lot easier, and I'm really glad I brought it. So going off the tail of that, off of microscopy, but still in Antarctica. One of my favorite things this year is this. This is MICROspikes. It looks like some sort of fetish device, but it's actually something you put over your shoes so that you can be stabilized on top of ice, on top of glaciers, on top of snow. In Antarctica, they give you government-issued stabilizers, which require Velcro and straps, and they don't fit very well. But some people had these MICROspikes, which made it a whole lot easier, and they just fit on your shoe with tension, which makes it so much easier to just walk around and you don't have to worry about them. You just slip them on. And so if you are in a situation where you're going to be going over frozen lakes or snow or hiking with slippery surfaces, I definitely recommend MICROspikes. Next thing that's not specific necessarily to Antarctica, but has been one of my favorite things over the year, is using a phone gimbal. This one is the Zhiyun Smooth Q phone gimbal. I haven't used a lot of different phone gimbals, so I can't actually give you a comparison of how this one holds up to other ones. But the thing that I love about phone gimbals is as I was walking around in Antarctica and on a deep sea research vessel and underground, I went to a lot of weird places this year. People were constantly asking me how much this cost. And when I told them that it was around $100, they were all surprised because a lot of people assume that devices like these are usually around $1,000+. So phone gimbals just in general are really awesome because they smooth out your video. You don't have to worry about shaky cam, and they're just really useful to have. I will say my one critique of them is that they're not awesome for selfie mode. So if you're wanting to shoot a ton of video where you have the phone facing yourself and you're sort of holding it like this, then I don't necessarily recommend them because they are kind of heavy and you will notice that your arm gets pretty tired pretty quickly with them. But if you're wanting to give a tour or just walk around and show people different places, then having a phone gimbal is really awesome. And what makes it so awesome is just how cheap it is nowadays. Finally, my favorite thing of 2018 is Kirby's Star Allies. This is a new game that came out on the Switch this year, and it's really cute and adorable, and it takes place in outer space, one of my loves, of course. And Kirby Star Allies is really fantastically adorable because, well, not only do you get to play Kirby, but you can play other characters as well. One of my favorite characters is to play an art school girl in which she attacks people using paint, and she can draw pictures, and those pictures can then go attack evildoers. This game is not necessarily challenging. A lot of people have criticized it for not being that hard to play, but that's exactly why I love it, because sometimes you just want to play an easy game where you beat the bad guys, explore space, and look really cute doing it. And Kirby Star Allies is definitely that. So with that, that's all of my favorite things spanning Antarctica and space and everything for 2018. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember to subscribe to Tested if you haven't already, and go check out Offworld on tested.com. And with that, I will see you all next year.